Hey everybody, Tom here with Permaculture Wilmington. Hope you're having a good day. I decided to come out to the food forest that we're putting together, and it's been a little while since it rained, and I noticed yesterday when we were planting a lot of the bare root plants that we were getting, and we got a whole bunch of trees, about 40 that we planted yesterday, but I noticed that a bunch of the beds that we made for doing annuals, where it's just basically horse manure composted, but it was well-aged compost, horse manure compost. It just isn't, that's just not a very good product in terms of water retention long term. So what's happening is the compost is drying out pretty quick. Oh, there's a worm. Huh, that's so cool. So this guy's happy. He's out here in the sun. Look at that guy right here. Woo! He's not happy I found him. Yeah, these are honeyberries. Pretty excited about that. But yeah, so what we did was take mycelium, mushroom fruiting blocks that we got from a mushroom farmer, and we just made these beds around the outside of the horse manure yesterday, so that way it'll have like a band of really good water retention around it. So I'm going to use a soil drench that I made today, and it's got some biochar in it, a little bioag that I ordered online, some EM, just some products from last season that I'm pretty sure are probably biologically dead at this point, but that's nutrition for a lot of other organisms, and there may be some spores in there that are still active because it isn't that old. It's only about a year, but that stuff only lasts about 6 months or so in terms of the organisms staying alive in the bottle and dormant. When we buy them, usually a lot of the spores are already dead, unfortunately. That's the accumulation in the bottom that we see. But I've got a good mix here that I'm going to be using to do a little soil drench over the beds that we've created to get some life back in them, and also get some fertility for specifically for the fungi, the mycorrhizal fungi. So there's a lot of, I put in kelp, so there's fish emulsion and there's kelp, and that's fish hydrolysate mixed with liquid kelp. It's was it Neptune's Harvest? Neptune's Harvest is what it is. So if you guys are interested in that, I have a video that shows the ingredients that I use to put in the soil drenches, but this is basically left over from that stuff, and I probably won't be buying anymore now that I've learned about indigenous microorganisms and I understand how to collect them myself from environments that actually have them, like the blueberries that we have planted. We just planted blueberries around in here, and we did that because these are in the same family in terms of microbiology. The azaleas need the same microbiology in the soil that the blueberries do. So if you plant them next to it, if you already have established azaleas, it's like super easy to get blueberries going. So we just popped in a whole bunch of them, and they're doing really well. So this is really exciting. Normally it's like the blueberries tend to kind of peter out after a couple weeks of just kind of popping them in the soil, in the past, for me anyway. And this is a really good sign, man. I'm really excited about this. I don't have to grow blueberries in pots anymore because I understand the biology and the way the soil should be layered properly for them, and also aeration, because even though they do like a low pH that's really close to anaerobic soils, and that's really because they come from an environment that is saturated from the acids from the tannins that are in the trees, and also from the soil predominantly being anaerobic a lot of times from being in a low elevation. So like we're like, the back half of our property back that way is literally right at the water table, so it floods constantly every time we get a good rain. This is about 3 feet higher, so we're hoping this is going to be like the real big transition. And as you guys can see, like, we're pretty excited because we've got a lot of life that's happening right now, and a lot of trees that are planted that are doing really well. Like, these have all come back for us since we planted them previously. And then all the ones in the pots that we're going to be planting here in the next couple days. But lots of plums. There's a whole bed of ever-bearing strawberries. We've got a big bed of raspberries back here, and those are ever-bearing thornless raspberries. We put loquats and nut trees, hazelnuts and pecans. There's pawpaws in the shadows of this bulk here, because they like the little lower acidity too. They come from this environment, so and they don't need sunlight for a couple years. They like full shade actually until they get about 1.5 years, 2 years old, and then they'll shoot up into the light. So we put the pawpaws in the back because they were just seedlings that are I guess maybe about 6 months to 1 year old at this point. So alright guys, just wanted to fill you in on what's going on. Check this out if you want to. This is pretty cool how this works out. I just made a little makeshift watering can here. Got to put holes in the bottom, so as long as I keep moving this like this, I get a pretty good drench. Pretty good drench going on here, guys. This is working really well if I can reach all the areas. Now, I was only able to bring 4 5-gallon buckets with water today. So that's what I mixed in basically with the biochar and all the inoculants. I also put mycos in here. I know it's basically pointless unless the microorganisms touch the roots, but with a soil drench like this, if they come in contact with the roots around the bottom of the plant, where the plant goes into the soil at the stem, the crown as they say, then at that point, you know, it's making contact with the roots. So we just got to get it down into that area of the soil, down past that organic layer and into that root zone. So that's good for this half. But basically what I did was bring 1 bucket for each bed that we have. So there's like maybe like one here, and then 1 big one back there, and then we've got this hugelkultur going that I kind of sloppily put together on the other side over here. It's really not a good hugelkultur by any means, but I think it'll get going. There's a bukashi bucket we poured into it, and it's going really well, but the problem that I didn't foresee, and that I knew when I put it together, was that we didn't cover it with soil. This is just the compost layer, and it needs another layer of soil on top, and that kind of holds it together, at least until we get the roots in it. And that way you won't see, like, you know, trees coming out, the big logs coming out of the bottom. So it really needed about this much more soil on top all the way around, as like a caking layer to hold it together and to hold all that nutrition in. Because right now this is exposed to the air, the ambient air, the oxygen, so it's oxidizing right now. All the organics in here, anything that's on the surface layer. That's one of the big things that's going on with our compost piles. It's like it's oxidizing because we're using a lot of bacteria, so it's off-gassing a whole lot more than we think it is, guys. We need fungi, so that's good that we have good carbon in here, but unfortunately the surface is going to off-gas a little more than we want. But the nutrients in the center, where I've layered the different stacks of logs with the compost, that's going to hold a lot of good nutrition once those fungi start getting to work in there. You guys can see we found so many blueberries when we were clearing out the areas that were overgrown. Like all these plants in here that you're seeing, these low bushes, are actually a type of blueberry. It's a wild blueberry. So I forget the name, high bush. It's a high bush variety. But check out all these blueberries on here, man. They are every stem. It's just loaded. And these are wild. This is a wild strain of blueberries. So pretty excited about that, guys. Azaleas, as you can see, they're about to bloom. Spring has sprung. Beautiful colors. Love the colors in here. But this is where we put the pawpaws. You guys can take a look, like right here actually. So it's not even, it doesn't have any leaves just yet. It was just a bare root. So that's good that it didn't have leaves yet. So it's still coming out of dormancy. And it can acclimate appropriately to the pH and the microbiology. So, okay guys, don't want to make these long. So, this is what we're doing. Dropping down some cardboard and some lawn bags and covering it with mulch material to suppress the grass that we've got growing in here from where the house was over here. And there's still some grass growing from where the house was about 20-25 years ago. So, alright guys, hope you're having a great day. This is Tom with Permaculture Wilmington.